Okay, so in this video, let's talk about Apple stock and whether you should buy into earnings on before earnings on April 30th, guys. So let's just give you a quick rundown of what's been going on with Apple stocks. Well, as I mentioned in some of the previous videos, I've mentioned on this Q1 earnings season, preview. I've been talking a lot about how most of these stocks have been crushed, and Apple is one of the stocks that has nicely recovered. So for me personally, I actually own. Quite a few shares of Apple actually own in my stash invest. I like to buy partial shares on Apple sometimes because I don't always want to plunk down, $200 to $300 a share. So I like to build a position slowly. So I'm going to tell you guys exactly where I think Apple stock is. And I think this is a wonderful long-term buying opportunity. So I believe I recorded a past video talking about how Apple likes to make the same type of movement in the technical analysis and stuff, and then I'm going to give you guys what I think of an earnings preview. So if we take a look at the long-term chart, I want to talk about this really quick, and then we'll go into some of the catalysts. Apple just seems to have a very predictable price movement. So we know that Apple is in the driver's seat for technology, and it just seems like, even so during this quarantine, and I've been checking out a lot of people's YouTube channels and stuff, it just seems like a lot of influential YouTubers and a lot of people in general have Apple products in their houses. So this is just for years been a stable brand and everyone is very familiar with it. So you don't have to worry about like Apple stock crashing to like $100 or 50 or something like that. The brand is simply too strong for this. And as you can see here, it has a predictable chart pattern where there's some run up against resistance, then support, then past resistance, then support, then past resistance, then support, then pass. So I've basically just been using this chart. So I've been using this chart to kind of look at Apple stock on how just predictable the pattern has been. So here we are at the same similar pattern. So for me, I've been buying right here. I want to blow that up a little bit and show you guys exactly what I've been doing personally with Apple stock. So like I said, I've been buying in this range here, and there's a lot of nice things that are coming up. So I want to quickly tell you guys on basically good news that we have. So as you can see here, there's a very nice article posted on Seeking. Okay, so there's a very nice article posted on Seeking Alpha. It says own Apple heading into Q2 earnings, and it says early signs point towards a successful iPhone SE launch. Although some margin dilution is likely, the services growth remains intact while Mac is likely to surprise. Apple transition towards services is margin accretive and warranting the earnings multiple expansion. So as you can see here, guys, he basically talks about a conservative multiple of around 22, and that basically is where a lot of where a lot of Apple's growth. So that's where a lot of Apple's growth is going to come with their services business. So as you can see here, they finally launched a budget cell phone to kind of attack that whole Android market that was basically underserved by Apple. So Apple launched an iPhone for under $400. Yes. You can buy an iPhone for under $400. So it basically has all of the features of the iPhone 11, but it has an older body. So it's got like an iPhone 8 body with all of the updates on the iPhone 11. And this was basically perfect timing for this release of this phone because, the consumer, obviously a lot of people have lost their jobs, a lot of people have been furloughed, or a lot of people just can't afford a $800, $900 iPhone anyway. So I think this is excellent for Apple long term because while this will hurt their margins, they'll bring more people into the Apple family, more people into the services businesses with iTunes, with Apple Pay and stuff like that. And I think Apple is really keen on pushing Apple Pay so they can compete with other companies for that long-term trend towards a cashless society. And if you have an iPhone using Apple Pay, it's just so convenient for you anyway. So as you can see here, we're going to talk a little bit about what some people were worried about margins. So as you see, it says, however, margin-related concerns remain despite Apple's relatively disciplined margin framework with regard to new product launches. So a lot of people have been worried about whether Apple's margins will basically get worse. And I don't think so because they have so many things going on. They also have Apple TV Plus, and they also got that strong computer business, and they have a lot of new products coming. So I don't think a lot of people are kind of baking in those new products. So let me show you guys some of these new products that are launching, and boy, there is a ton of them. So as you can see here, I'm on Business Insider. So take a look at all of these products that are set to launch. So they're coming out with the iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro. They're going to debut that supposedly in September. They've got coming out with the new Apple Watch that can track your sleep patterns. That one's coming out in later 2020. then they've got another really cool thing, which I think is really, really useful. It's a accessory to basically help you find your lost iPhone. So it's like a tag you place, and you place this tag. So as you can see here, it says uh, Apple's reportedly working on an accessory to help you find lost items using your iPhone. The device would be similar to Bluetooth tracking tile and would likely consist of a small tag to be placed on easily misplaced items like keys and wallets. So, guys, Apple is really still innovating in this time where a lot of people are negative about the stock. Of course, they're coming out with a bundle of Apple TV, Apple News, Apple Music. I mean, they're coming out with another cheaper version of the HomePod. Uh, they're coming out with new premium headphones. They're coming out with new Apple TV, updated version of Apple TV, a wireless charging mat. They're going to start selling that as well. And wireless charging is definitely in because, I've been sick of charging with these wall-in chargers for a long time. Sometimes the thing comes out and it just seems like wireless charging just makes more sense. So they're coming out with that. And then they might actually launch their first smart glasses. So, wow, this is a lot of stuff that they're selling. And even though people are, obviously there's going to be an economic downturn, you cannot ignore how much Apple is innovating in terms of these products. So of course their revenue is going to increase within the next year or two. Maybe not in the short term, but definitely in the long term. So as you can see, okay, so obviously there is a lot of products coming out, and we're really kind of anticipating where Apple is going to be with it with their earnings release. So obviously there is the chance that Apple stock can return down to its support, but there is some short-term support at around $267. So, obviously, I think if you're thinking short term, I think there is some risk in buying Apple stock before earnings. But I want to show you guys again this long term pattern, which is what I'm playing. So I've been buying here, and I'm basically just waiting for that run up again because with all of those new products coming into the pipeline, for me, Apple is a long term winner always. And now, last thing I want to show you guys, I want to give you guys some compounded annual growth rate numbers to kind of give you guys, if you guys are holding the stock and you think whether or not you should sell before earnings or not. Okay, so once again, I really like to look at these numbers on Morningstar. You just type in ticker symbol AAPL, trailing returns. So Apple has returned 31% over the last 15 years annually. So for me, I'm not worried about Apple stock. I think a lot of people are kind of thinking a little bit too short term when it comes to a company like this. This company will obviously see probably a short term decline in revenue, but with that whole product line coming out and all of the innovation, Apple is still the leader in consumer electronics. So no worries there. I'm probably going to buy the stock more if it dips down, but I think it is important to take a look at that key support level of 215. If the stock does plummet, then it could be a time to stop out of the trade. So what you can do with a stock like Apple, which is going to be affected by this whole coronavirus pandemic because a lot of their stores were closed, and consumer electronics isn't just something people are really buying in a crisis situation. I think you can basically, if you want to protect losses, you can put a stop right here at around $266. So what is a stop? Well, a stop loss order is simply you can put that in your brokerage. So if you use Robinhood or whatever you use, Fidelity Interactive Brokers, you can simply put out a stop, and then if the stop hits that level, it'll automatically sell the order. So guys, use stop loss orders, and they're really important for protecting against huge losses. I've read some of your guys' comments. Some of you guys have been lost quite a bit of money on some other stocks like Aurora Cannabis and stuff like that. So Apple could go down in the short term, so use a stop. But for me, I'm going to be buying. I'm just going to be buying Apple. I'm holding Apple. I'm still looking at that 31% compounded annual growth rate over the last 15 years. I hold Apple. If it dips, I buy more. If it goes up, I hold. So that's what I'm doing with my Apple stock. And so if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos. I post videos on the stock market every day. So be sure to hit the red subscribe button to receive future notifications on my latest uploads. So that's it for now, guys. Take care.